Hello again, and welcome to another video from Austin's American Flyer. I tell you what, it just never gets dull when you're working with 50, 60, 70-year-old engines and AC power. So last evening I was working on redoing some track with the sole intention of getting some less frequent derailments from this Hudson. And no sooner did I get the track done and I started to run this thing, and something that had never happened started to happen, and that was sparks. Sparks were flying from the side gear, from the main drivers, from the front tracking trucks, from the bolster underneath here, and of course the tender and everything else. And I was scratching my head. What I had done is I slid this little switch down here, which shuts the smoke unit off. Those of you that follow have seen the video of my my rebuilding of this smoke unit, and this is the one that I went a little bit on the low side of the ohms in terms of the smoke generator, and have regretted that because this thing smokes furiously, and it's a little bit acidic smelling. I don't know, it's not very nice. And so the other engines, when they smoke, there's a nice scented smoke oil I use, and they smell great. This one just plain stinks, and it smells everything up. Anyhow, back to the point. So, you know, the one engine that I wanted to test, that I'd done a couple switch changes, some track layout changes, blah, 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 I couldn't get the thing to work. All it would do is spark and short out, and of course kick the breaker on the transformer. So, took the shell off the tender to see if I might figure out what would be the trouble, and I think the solution is right here. I did run it a little bit, or I should say try to run a little bit with the tender shell off, and right back in here saw sparking. And there was a rubber gasket around here. That rubber gasket decided to disintegrate. Like, you know, this engine was from approximately 1951, and I guess it just decided that it's done. Don't blame it. But now the question is, what do I do? So, I don't have any rubber laying around that would be thin. Of course, the hardware stores are closed for the evening. So I was scratching my head, rummaging through scrap bits and pieces I have laying around, and came up with two ideas. And I'm going to try these, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I believe that this is the base for a telephone pole from HO Scale, which I have that stuff laying around. This plastic disc is part of a little lid that I trimmed up, and of course will trim quite a bit smaller to fit in the recess behind here. Now, the dilemma, as you might ascertain, is that when I apply significant heat, because I'll have to remove the wires, probably shrink that mound of solder down a little bit. But when I go to reapply it after I've put one of these two gaskets on there, I have a sneaking suspicion that the heat will just melt things, and I'll be back to zero. So we'll see. It's an adventure, and I'll come back in a little bit and let you know what happened.